Every now and then, we read something so timely that it's hard not to revisit its message over and over. Earlier this week, I had such an experience as I came across an article in the New York Times entitled, "I Don't Need My Life to Be Remarkable." The author, Sarah Wildman, writes beautifully, heartbreakingly, and inspiringly about the moments in our lives that we celebrate. She tells of a family, friend, a therapist who once told her and her husband that they shouldn't look for every moment to be a 10. Rather, they should celebrate the 4s, the 5s, and the 6s in life. For them, at that stage in their lives, not striving for 10 seemed absurd. Why on earth would they celebrate their perceived failures? Shouldn't they always work towards the biggest accomplishments? It became an inside joke for them whenever something went wrong. Can you celebrate your 1s and your 2s? Now, many years later, she watches as her teenage daughter endures serious medical treatments. Together as a family, they fight for some normalcy between hospital stays, and she writes that she's finally finding wisdom in not just seeking, but finding joy in the mundane. She's trying to stand still, to appreciate the in-between moments. On this Shabbat Shuvah, the Shabbat between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the author's message is an incredibly powerful reminder for me of how to be mindful and appreciate each moment. Of course, this reminder to be present isn't a new one for parents or grandparents. We hear it all the time. They grow up so quickly. Enjoy this stage. It's the best one. But in the grind of daily life, trying to get kids out of the house and dressed with lunches and backpacks and jackets and shoes each morning, asking them over and over and over to pick up toys, bathing and brushing teeth and reading just one more story, trying to remember what time school is done, who is picking them up, what day it is, what activities are scheduled. Some days it's really, really hard to remember that advice. But then we have these moments, one more hug and kiss before they walk into their classrooms, a request to lay in their beds and snuggle just a little longer at night, a sweet thank you when we're willing to buy that $5 toy at Target, the smile as they successfully master a new skill, and these are our celebrations. These are the moments when we can indeed find the joy in the mundane. They aren't necessarily the triumphant moments of success and accomplishment. They aren't the 10s, but they're the 5s and the 6s, those small moments that Sarah Wildman reminds us to savor, to celebrate, and to be fully present for. There's an old tale, one that's also found in our prayer book, of a Hasidic rabbi named Rabbi Zusia. Zusia was a timid man who lived a humble life. And one day, Rabbi Zusia stood before his congregation and he said, "When I die and have to present myself before the celestial tribunal, they will not ask me, 'Zusia, why were you not Moses?' Because I would say, 'Moses was a prophet and I am not.' They will not say, 'Zusia, why were you not Jeremiah?' For I would say, 'Jeremiah was a writer and I am not.' And then they will not say, 'Why were you not Rabbi Akiva?' For I would tell them, 'Rabbi Akiva was a great teacher and scholar and I am not.' But then they will say, 'Zusia, why were you not Zusia?' For Rabbi Zusia, life is not about filling anyone else's shoes. It's not about being the most remarkable person in the room, but it is about being the best version of himself that he can be. During these 10 days of awe between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we are asked to be like Zusia and ask that same question, to take a deep look at ourselves, examine our deeds, and reflect on how we can become the very best versions of ourselves in the coming year. This work that we do in the days leading up to Yom Kippur is challenging, exhausting work. And yet, on Yom Kippur, we wish each other an easy fast. Should our fast on Yom Kippur be easy? It should help us focus on our prayer, help us be introspective and reflective. Yom Kippur often feels like a somber day, perhaps even a sad day, especially coming just 10 days after the joyful welcoming of the new year on Rosh Hashanah. But what if instead we view Yom Kippur as a day full of hope, and maybe even a day to rejoice? After all, it's a day when we can change our destiny, when we can do teshuvah, find our better selves, and connect to God. Yom Kippur is a day full of highs and lows, mixing emotions of joy and awe with fear and regret, hope and determination. Life itself is this mixture of emotions. We can't always separate our grief and our delight. It's what has us laughing as we remember the stories of our loved ones, even as we mourn their death. And it's what has us crying as we celebrate our children getting another year older. In our Torah portion on this Shabbat Shuvah, Moses confronts his own mix of emotions as he says his final farewells to the Israelites. Moses goes out to the Israelites and tells them he is 120 years old and no longer capable of leading them. As he offers his last instructions and reminders, passing the mantle of leadership to Joshua, we can hear in the text his sorrow for being unable to join them in the promised land, but also his comfort as he reminds the people that God will be with them as they continue on their journey. Commentators have long wondered about the first word of this Torah portion, Vayelech, and he went. Why is it important to note that Moses went out to the Israelites? One 15th century scholar, Sforno, teaches that the word Vayelech tells us that Moses brought this message to the people of his own initiative. It wasn't yet another message from God, but an attempt on Moses' part to ease the transition the Israelites were about to experience. He saw the entering of the land of Israel as cause for great celebration, and he worried that the people's sorrow at his death would diminish this delight. With his speech in this Torah portion, Moses means to set the people's mind at ease, to encourage them to feel relieved and grateful and happy. Life is complicated. Moses reminds us that it is okay to feel this mixture of emotions. It's okay not to be able to compartmentalize our grief and our delight. Rabbi Zusia reminds us that we need not strive to be like anyone else, that it's okay to just work on being the very best versions of ourselves. And Sarah Wildman reminds us that it's okay to appreciate the mundane moments, the 4s and the 5s, celebrating those alongside the extraordinary moments. On this Shabbat Shuvah, on this Yom Kippur that we will observe in just a few days, I hope that your fast is neither easy nor difficult, but one in which you find meaning and connection. I hope that you find laughter in your sorrow and appreciate the tears of your joy. I hope that you can celebrate all of your moments. But most of all, I wish for you a Gamar Chatima Tova, to be inscribed in the book of life. Shabbat Shalom.